Hello, I am getting back in the swing of things after my largely silent summer of being quite mad. And right now I am excessively caffeinated. If you know anything about me, you know I have a lot of food intolerances and I can't have stimulants at all, including caffeine. But yesterday I got rather gluttonous with a bar of dark chocolate and oh my goodness, it was a bad idea. I was like sweating and shaking and it was awful. Now it's like 36 hours later and I am still rolling hard on this caffeine, which is ridiculous. But anyway, I thought let's get glammed up and make a video while I feel like babbling at everybody. So because I'm still getting back in the swing of things, I thought I would ask you guys to do half of my job for me and tell me what to talk about. So I asked on Instagram for some questions for me to answer, and that is what I'm going to do. And yes, I would say if you have missed me and my waffles over the time I've been silent on here, if you give a crap, then Instagram is quite a good place to stalk me. I do make quite a lot of videos and things on Instagram too. Even if I'm silent over here, even if I have no makeup on and I look like a potato, I'm usually active on Instagram. So anyway, onwards with the questions. I'm going to leave the timestamps down below, so if there are any questions that you are particularly interested or not interested in, you can skip to them, because I know Q&As, there's always bits you care about and there's bits you don't care about, so I will let you skip bits. So anyway, the first question I thought I would answer comes from Iska Ithil, and can I just first of all say I had a huge squee moment when I saw Iska Ithil in my inbox, because you are such a complete icon. Your older makeup looks were just amazing. I mean, anyone that's not checked out Iska Ithil, go and have a look at them and seriously scroll down, because they've changed a lot and they're still an awesome person, but they don't do so much of the crazy wild makeup. But they were one of the first people, I think, to really do this really like out there amazing kind of alien aesthetic, but really skillfully done. Amazing. And their neck tattoos, Iska Ithil, your neck tattoos, I just think they're so perfect, so simple but so perfect, and just like, your look is just so perfect. I was just such a like, oh my god, you noticed me when I saw your comment in my inbox. But anyway, Iska Ithil asked, maybe you've explained this before, but I would love to know the origins of your username. And I thought I would explain that again, because it has been a long time since I explained that, and obviously there are a lot of new people. So yes, of herbs and altars, initially it was all one word when I joined YouTube, but people kept thinking it was of her BS and altars, which I think is really funny, but was not what I intended, so I turned it into words. But of herbs and altars, it comes from a Poppy Zebbrite book, who is one of my absolute favourite authors, and it was the way that he described the taste of chartreuse, that it's the taste of herbs, the taste of 1,000 herbs, the taste of altars. I think is slightly nearer to the quote, but I just loved of herbs and altars, like the description, it tastes of herbs and altars. And Poppy Zebbrite makes up a lot of other stuff about chartreuse, that it glows in the dark and that it'll turn your eyes green if you drink enough of it. So naturally, when I was 16 with my first boyfriend, we drank a lot of chartreuse, and we really thought it was going to glow in the dark. We really thought it was. It doesn't, and it doesn't turn your eyes green either, but it tastes lovely and it does get you drunk. But of herbs and altars, I just thought it was such an eloquent sentence. But what really surprised me was that first boyfriend I used to drink chartreuse with, when I started using of herbs and altars as a net name, he was like, where did you get that from? And I was like, are you kidding? You're the one who introduced me to Poppy Zebbrite. We read this book together so many times. It's so meaningful to both of us. You don't remember the taste of herbs, the taste of altars? Really? So apparently it's a quote that not everyone latches onto, the way that everyone latches onto 4am knows all my secrets. Like, there are so many people with tattoos of 4am knows all my secrets. It's like the one that everyone latches onto, but of herbs and altars seems to slip a lot of people by as a quote. So moving on, I also got a question which was a bit of a surprise from my bestest friend from high school, who is the only person that I still know from high school, and is really amazing. I found, when I was tidying my room last year, I found a card from her, which was written in 2017 when I was having a really hard time, and I was like, that is so freaking sweet. We hadn't seen each other in ages and you still thought of me, and you're a lovely person. She's going through a bit of a hard time at the moment, bad things have happened and I feel very sad for her and I want to give you a virtual hug. But anyway, she asked, can we have an update on the bees in your attic, please? Did COVID stop them from being rehoused? I don't remember whether I actually told you guys publicly about the bees in my freaking attic. We, last year, I think towards the end of the summer last year, we had an estimated, wait for it, 80,000 bees in our attic. We had a man come around and he showed us with like a heat camera up the attic, and you could see this huge blob of like hot stuff. He showed us round the side and you can see like the side of the house is sagging because there are, I can't remember what he said there are like a lot of tons of honey. Anyway, there are tons and tons of honey in our attic and it's making the house sag. So there is a possibility of like half the house falling down because there are so many bees and so much honey. And last summer the bees kept swarming as well. They chased our neighbours around the garden. There was one vlog I made where I went to Bridgenorth, and as I came back, I was like, what the hell is that? There's a swarm of bees. And at the point I made that vlog, and I had to stay in my car for quite a while because there were bees, like this cloud of bees shooting up and down the road. And finally it cleared and I got out of my house and I just thought, bees? Like swarming bees? Where did they come from? It was us. We were the ones with the bees. So anyway, the bee man, he said, look, I can't do anything about it now. There are 80,000 bees. I can't rehome 80,000 bees. They will swarm everywhere. It will be a nightmare. It will be dangerous. So he said, what we're going to do, we're going to wait until March, and over the winter, a lot of them will die off. By March, it will be down to just 30,000 bees, which is manageable. He will, he was going to come in and, I don't know, like drag the bees off, do something clever with the bees and take them off to his beekeeping place. But yes, as my friend deduced, COVID happened, so the bees stayed. And at this point we don't know. We do not know how many bees we have. I personally think the bees may be moving on their own because there's been no swarming activity. So I think there are certainly less bees, but obviously all the tons of honey that is making the house sag, we are going to have to get rid of. And no, we will not be able to eat those tons of honey, unfortunately, because getting it out, all the drilling is going to get plaster and bits of house everywhere. So the honey will be contaminated. But yes, we have like a major bee problem, and our neighbourhood was terrorised last summer by the swarms of bees that we were inadvertently keeping. But the other thing I just want to say, while I'm talking to my school friend, do you remember this choker with this little bat on? Do you remember this? I got this in 1999 while we were still at school, and this little bat, I tied him on with a bit of string, and you insisted that I name the bat after you. So this is the Lorna bat, and I still have him. I still have this choker from 1999. The Lorna bat is still attached, and I still think of him as the Lorna bat. So there we go. Okay, next question. I have one from Chaos International who said, I actually have one if it's not too personal. What was your name before you changed it? If you don't mind revealing it, of course. I believe you refer to it as the girl name. My old name was a name that is extremely common. It was extremely common in the 90s to 2000s. I'm not going to reveal it because I don't see the point. It's not my name anymore, and I know that the only people who will use it if I make it common knowledge are people who are trying to troll me and bully me. However, people who want to troll me and bully me do already know that name. It is well known on the sewers of the internet, which if you are an online alternative kind of personality or influencer or whatever you want to call it, you will be aware that there are many such sewers of the internet. If you ever Google the names of any goth influencers, or you reverse image search any of their pictures or anything like that, you will always find a lot of links to absolute sewers where just anyone who is different or has mental health issues, particularly if they're girls, you get a lot of like, sorry, this is turning into a bit of a rant, but you get a lot of like, why is this full-grown woman doing all of that stuff? And like, they use the word full-grown woman when they are talking about like 18-year-old girls who are suffering from severe anorexia and weigh about as much as a 4-year-old. Full-grown woman, why are you being so stupid? So these are the kinds of places on the internet where my old name is known and widely used, because they're like, they will do anything to take a dig. And you know, I did used to, as I've mentioned before, I did used to read those forums quite a lot back when I was an alcoholic, just because I really enjoyed being angry. And it was nice to be angry. It was nice to have people to fight with. And now that I am in a far more mentally healthy place, I do not go to those places to read about myself or anyone else. And but that doesn't stop me wishing that, you know, someone would just introduce some kind of like amazing, clever contagion that you could put in a computer, and it would be like a computer virus you could send to a certain site, and it would just begin to ooze through the keyboard, and it would just go into their fingers and do something terrible to them, you know. That's what I kind of wish sometimes. But no, my first name, like, if you know my first name, I'm not bothered by you knowing it. I did tell people in the beginning of my channel, before expecting anyone to really give a crap about my channel and to get bigger, I did tell people quite freely what my name was, so there are people who know, and I'm not particularly bothered. But at this stage, I'm not gonna just put it out there for everyone to use, because I never liked that name. I chose it because I didn't like it, so I don't see the point telling you it. That's all. Okay, so I have another question from Tanya Bitch asking, my question is, will there be a new dog in your life? I miss a furry co-host in your videos. Me too. This year, with my craziness, I got so hung up on dogs. I really did. While I was at my craziest, I was literally carrying around a bag I have, which is like a little furry schnoodle, and he looks like a very convincing dog, and I was carrying this bag everywhere. I was just like, dog, I'm so sad about not having a dog. And I just knew, like, I'm too unstable right now to get a new dog. I know I can't, you know, be relied on to walk it and feed it and be stable, you know, and dogs don't like it when you're emotionally unstable. They don't like it when you're crying and you're emotionally unstable. It worries them. So I was like, I can't have a dog at the moment. I really want a dog. So no, I am definitely hoping to get a dog as soon as I feel like things are stable enough. I would very much like to get a dog. COVID is a factor as well, making sure that the rescue centres are open and I can go there. And then, yes, I would very much like a dog. In a large way, I would love another older dog, because I think they're beautiful and they're sweet and they're kind and they're so cuddly. And they're really like low hassle. They don't need a huge amount of exercise. They're low hassle, and, you know, and people don't adopt them, and that's very sad. So I would like an older dog, but equally, I do quite a lot of walking now, and I would like a dog that could keep up and could come walking with me. And then there's the vet's bills. Like, Presley got expensive at the end of his life, and if I am going to be moving out with this dog at some point, the vet's bills are going to be on me. Can I afford an older dog? I don't know. There's like, I don't know whether I'm overthinking this, to be honest. Like, a lot of people just go, I want a dog, whatever happens, I'll deal with it, I'm going to get a dog. Whereas me, I tend to just catastrophize a little bit and really think about, but this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, and, you know, am I ready? I don't know. And then I don't get a dog, and then I'm sad, because, like, my soul is just such a dog thing. Like, dogs are such a part of my soul, and I love them so much, and I do feel a bit incomplete without a dog. I think my life would be very complete with a dog in it, far more than a human partner. I feel like I need a dog, and this is actually something that my therapist agrees with. I need a dog. So yeah, hopefully soon, when things have been stable with me for like a while, and I'm pretty convinced nothing's gonna fall to bits again, I'm definitely going dog hunting, and I will be very excited to have a new dog and to show you him. So yes, it's coming, but it's going to be however long it takes, I guess. But I'm excited for my new dog whenever he or she comes. Okay, and when Jekyll met Hyde asked, is there a good place for a beginner crocheter / knitter to start? Any good sources you could recommend? Ravelry. I'll write it on the screen so you can see the spelling. Ravelry is the best place to go if you are getting into knitting or crochet, or whether you're an experienced knitter or crocheter. They have amazing patterns. They have a great pattern search. You can find patterns for everything. You can filter that by knitting or crocheting or both. You can decide what thickness of yarn you want. So if you want a quick chunky pattern, you can do that. And those patterns, they tend to be very well written. There's a lot of pictures, there's a lot of description. Those are a lot easier than the kind of patterns you're going to find in a yarn store, in like magazines and stuff. I don't do those patterns because it's just this crammed in gibberish and I can't be dealing with it, whereas Ravelry patterns are very well written out and very fun. And let me just quickly show you, these are what I'm doing at the moment from Ravelry, the Hubble Bubble Double Trouble socks. And they're really cute. So they have a lot of stuff. Basically, people are able to upload their own patterns there. I've uploaded a pattern which I will link below maybe, so you can go and see my pattern. It's quite good for Halloween. It is made for Halloween, so it might be a good time to pimp my pattern a bit. But no, Ravelry is a great place. Also, I would say YouTube has tutorials for everything. Like every stitch you can think of in knitting and crochet, you will find on YouTube, and you will find a video tutorial, and video tutorials are the way to learn everything. I taught myself, finally taught myself to crochet, which I'd been trying and failing at for a decade, and I did it. I did it in autumn with YouTube tutorials, and I've actually crocheted some really gorgeous big projects now, which I'm planning to make a video soon showing you all the lovely knitting and crocheting I've done for a while, because Gothic knitting was, I think, my second ever video when I started this channel, and I haven't made a video showing you the stuff I've made since, and there's quite a lot of really fun patterns I've made recently. So yes, I will be talking more about knitting and crocheting on here soon, but for now, tutorials on YouTube, and check out Ravelry. Ravelry is amazing. Okay, so Crystal Slavy, I hope I'm saying that right, is it Slavy? Slavy? Somebody who I have corrupted into BEE-PAL and got addicted to lovely perfumes. That's good, I'm happy about that. Anyway, Crystal Slavy asked, is there a medical marijuana program in the UK? No, no there isn't. Even CBD oil has only recently become legal. Like, people with epilepsy and stuff have been fighting crazy battles just to get CBD oil. So actual medical marijuana, no. And the reason for that, for starters, we've got the Tories, who are the equivalent of the Republicans, you know, and just not liberal, not logical about drugs at all. But the main thing is that in the UK, we have just had our arses tied up in Brexit for years. Since 2016, for the past 4 years, we have been tied up in Brexit nonsense. And now, of course, there's COVID. So Brexit, which is, we are officially going to fall out of the EU round about Christmas. And nothing is being planned for, nothing is being agreed on, because COVID has come along and the government are using COVID as a huge distraction to just not deal with Brexit and to have no deal coming through, which is like the worst possible outcome. And with COVID going on top of that, I think England is going to be headed for terrifying times and a terrifying recession, and well, everywhere's headed for a terrifying recession with COVID, but Brexit as well, it's all such a mess, and obviously domestic policy has completely fallen to pieces. In the meantime, things that should be being dealt with, like medical marijuana programs, are just not being dealt with. So it's ridiculous, and you know, it's so disheartening and annoying seeing, you know, American friends and Canadian friends who can get weed in the post now, and they can get all these amazing strains and they know exactly what they're buying. It's not illegal. They're not having problems. And over here, you're still having to do exactly the same thing that the majority of the world now seems to see as something that is perfectly okay and should be legal and is actually very helpful and often very healthy. And we're still having to sneak around being illegal. And, you know, I've known dealers who are incredibly good family people who are just paying the rent for their families, who are very reliable, very upstanding, very sweet, very kind people, and potentially they could go to jail for a very long time for just because we have not sorted out a domestic policy to legalize something that should be legal. It makes me very, very angry. But congrats to to everyone in America and Canada who finally has had the government see sense on one thing at least. Okay, so next question. Actually, this is two questions. I'm going to lump them together. Emerald asked, what is it like to be on coke? And Anna asked, personal question, but you'd mentioned long-lasting effects from your eating disorder, and I was a bit curious about that. So I wanted to lump these two questions in together because I wanted to say I'm going to make videos on both of those things. When it comes to what cocaine is like, I would like to make a whole video about that for starters because it will be demonetized. So that's going to be its own video. But also there's a lot to say because I have done it in various different ways, and that means there are very different effects. And I would like to really be able to go into detail about that. Also, long-lasting effects from your eating disorder. Again, that is a big topic and I want to give it its own video, and I have been meaning to make that video for quite a long time because I do get asked quite a lot that I have just mentioned in passing all the long-lasting effects that I've had, that people I know have had, and there is a lot to say about that. So yeah, I do want to make a video about that at some point. I dare say YouTube will also demonetize that though, even though it is clearly harm reduction and is, you know, just informative medical information, that they will probably demonetize it because they just seem to demonetize anything, you know, mental illness related, and it's silly. So that's another reason for not talking about it much in this video. Oh, and this is a question that I really like. Uwu Unu asked, what alternative group would you have been a part of if you weren't goth? Like if you'd been born at a different time or your life would have been a little different. Actually, when I was about 25 and I was trying very hard to be normal, I got heavily, and I just visited Florida too for the first time and really seen like Americans and America and American culture up close and personal. I got really obsessed with Legally Blonde. I dyed my hair blonde. I got a tan. That's me. And I was really pining for the fact that I never got to experience the American high school experience. I really got obsessed with the idea of just all of it, the whole really like all-American blonde cheerleader thing. Like I wanted to experience that. I wanted to experience what it would be like to be like, you know, the blonde, shiny, popular kid doing cheerleading, you know, having this super functional family. I've always had this, even when I was very young, I've always had this big jealousy in me for families that are functional and together. You know, both sides of my family, my cousins, I loved being around my cousins and their families because there was no divorce in their families and they were so functional and they were such functional kids and they had such a great school life and such a great time in their life and they were so normal, you know. And I wished I could be like that. And when I was sort of 25, that came back, but it was very much centered around sort of like, you know, the American style of everything. That, you know, imagine if you'd been a normal kid in America and, you know, you'd been into shopping at the trendy stores and been a cheerleader and all that. So actually, yes, this goth really wished it could have been a cheerleader at one point. Other than that, the 1950s would have been really, really fun to, I definitely would have been in love with the whole kind of like rocker greaser type guy, you know, with his leather jacket and his greaseback hair and everything, which was part of the reason that I wrote the story. Depending on the version of my book you have, it's either called Great Balls of Fire or Huge Lumps of Flame. My mom was worried there might be a copyright issue. Apparently there isn't a copyright issue, but anyway, I changed the title because of the Jerry Lee Lewis song. So I rewrote the lyrics to something else, and I haven't bothered putting them back. So there is now like if you have an early version of my book, it is now limited edition and special because it doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, I wrote that story about a ghost who starts helping a struggling writer, and this ghost is a kid from the 1950s, this greaser kid from the 1950s who died driving a Cadillac, and he comes out with all this 1950s slang, and I kind of love that story, and I loved researching that story and looking up 1950s slang. One of my favourite bits that I found out was negative perspiration. So if you're saying that that like you do something and it's really, really easy, it's negative perspiration. I did that with negative perspiration on my part, and I thought that was a really cool saying. So yeah, the 1950s were cool. Otherwise, punk. I mean, when I was growing up, I was kind of, you know, swinging between punk, goth, and also whatever the hell you call Manic Street Preachers culture, because the Manic Street Preachers in the 90s did very much have a culture of their own, with the spray painted shirts, with, you know, things like Stay Beautiful, Suicide Baby, Fragile, just various sayings and slogans, culture slut sprayed on them, feather boas, black messy hair, big kind of coal painted eyes, quite gothy but also quite glammy, you know, white jeans, self-harm. So that the Manic Street Preachers culture, I think I just about missed that. That was, you know, Richie was disappeared or dead by the time I really got into them, but that culture and the political leanings of punk and the Manic Street Preachers, I found very cool as well. You know, when I went to college, I was still very obsessed with being this intellectual politico, you know, and I took sociology and government and politics and hated them and dropped out, you know, and I'm not remotely as much on top of sociology and politics and all of these things as much as I would like to be. I would like to be. I still think that's very cool and very sexy. I love the politicalness of punk, the fact that it has something worth saying, whereas, you know, goth lyrics are just there to sound kind of pretty. Apart from Bauhaus, I do love Bauhaus's kind of stark, spooky poetry. I think that's amazing. That line about cows, what is it? Black matted lace of pregnant cows. I think that's a really beautiful, sparse, spooky sentence. So some goth lyrics are very, very cool, but I prefer lyrics that have something that, you know, something angry, something worth saying, something that is really scathing and lacerating, and I love that with punk. But punk is a very outgoing subculture. It's a very extroverted subculture, so goth was more for me. So yes, there are many subcultures that I could have fallen into, really. Yes, I like the idea of, you know, alternate universes and different lives, and who you could have been if subtle or quite big things were different in your life. You know, who would you have been in different times and places? I find that fascinating. So I think I will end on this question because my heart is bursting out of my chest right now. The caffeine is really screwing me up and I need to go take some more medication. But I will give you one more question, which was asked by Lil, and they said, I am always curious about any crushes or dating behind the scenes, if you're happy to share. I haven't dated anyone myself for ages, but I currently have a magical crush on a girl and we've become lockdown buddies. Oh, that sounds so sweet. So I thought I would answer this question because somebody else also asked about my spirits. If you saw my video, which accidentally got deleted, so I'll have to put it back up at some point. But if you saw my video about the spirits that I live with, when it comes to crushes and dating and all of that stuff, there are no humans in the picture at this point. Obviously, it's lockdown, it's kind of difficult to meet people. But spirits, there's a lot of love and a lot of amazing times and certain quite intense relationships with them, which is a story for its own video. There is particularly one spirit who I actually have a past life history with. We knew each other in a past life. I didn't know that for a while until I wondered, this connection is so intense and so deep, what is this? And I asked him, and yeah, it turns out, and he told me everything he could about the lifetime we'd previously shared. And so that's one very intense relationship with spirits. And just like Lil, there is also a girl spirit who, amazing connection. Just from the minute I met her, it was just like, you are my soul sister, you are my soul sister. It's amazing. Sexually speaking, initially that was like, I'm not sure, because I'm not really into girls that way, but I came to love her so intensely that we haven't had sex yet, but there's a lot of things. And as people asking how the hell do you do these things with the spirit, there are ways. I can feel them. I'm quite strongly clairsentient, so I can feel the emotions of spirits, which can be beautiful. You can. This is one of the reasons it's so intense and so amazing, is that if they love me, I can feel this love and this amazing feeling. I can feel their love, and it's beautiful. However, if I encounter bad spirits, or there's anything scary going on, or I offend a spirit, or they don't like what I'm doing, I get so anxious, and it's not my anxiety. It's kind of a double-edged sword being clairsentient. But the other thing is that I can literally feel where they are. I can feel this cold, tingly barrier of their body, their spirit body. I can feel them, so I can touch them. We can do certain things, but also they can just you can just have sexual kind of sensations that are amazing, that just come to you when you're around them. And I don't know how they do that. That is something I don't know, but it's amazing and it's good. So there are ways to have sex with spirits, which I have not entirely yet with the girl spirit, but she is absolutely my soul sister. We went recently. Things were a lot better with my mental health and with certain other things that are going on. Everything was a lot better for about a week recently, and on one of these days, all of the spirits were just in the most amazingly high-spirited mood. And as I say, I pick up on their vibes. So for me, when they're in a really good mood, it's like I'm bouncing up and down. It's like being on ecstasy or something. I'm so high and so hyper and so happy. And we went out in the car, and we were just like zooming around the roads, listening to Aerosmith, which the girl spirit, she loves Aerosmith. One of the ways she gets my attention is she puts songs in my head. I get certain songs stuck in my head, and I know it's her because she really has a thing for kind of like 70s and 80s kind of rock, like really like high-spirited kind of rock. So we were listening to Aerosmith, and we went up Clent, and it's where the dogging spot is, so that there were people shagging in cars, and we managed to find a spot where you could see the stars and you could see the cars, the lights of the city, and I had her with me, and I had the other spirits, and there was a little bit of sexual activity in a car, and it was beautiful and sleazy and fun, and it's beautiful because it's dark there. It's so dark, no one can see that everyone else in the car with you, they can't see. It looks like you're just on your own, and but you're not. You know, you can feel them there, and with the girl spirit, she's much, or I'm not particularly telepathic at all. I can't make out what spirits are saying, but I get much more of a clue with her. She can tell me things. She can show me things. I can see where she is. I can see what she's doing. And so that was amazing. It was a really fun, romantic party night. So yeah, maybe you just think I'm bonkers, but they have been the absolute saviour of my lockdown experience. That, yeah, you know, being single, as far as humans go, in lockdown could be a very depressing and very lonely experience, but having the spirits around, it is kind of crazy, you know, that you know, you're in a house and everyone just thinks you're this weird loner who's always in their bedroom alone being sad, and actually you've got like a bunch of people you're absolutely in love with and you're just partying with and having a freaking amazing time, and a bit of sex, and but no, some of them are just some of the closest relationships I feel like I've ever had in my life, and the ways they make me feel, the things they teach me about love, and like, yeah, I mean, the one I knew in a past life, if he was earthly, like if he was alive at this point, I would marry him in a heartbeat. I would. Yeah, it's that deep and that intense, and yeah, and hopefully he feels the same. I've not been able to use a pendulum recently with just a lot of stuff that's going on. There's just been too much interference, so I haven't been able to talk with the spirits in a while, which is really annoying and really sad making, and is also impeding me making more videos about them, because I do like to ask them what they think before I make those videos, because I feel like it's really disrespectful to potentially talk about very personal things that they don't like. Usually if I don't ask them on the pendulum, I only realise while I'm making the video, and I suddenly start feeling awful. And then I know I've said something that one of them really doesn't like. And after I made the video uploaded, I got that feeling towards the end of it. And afterwards I asked on the pendulum, okay, who's upset, what's going on? And it was one of them, and he said, computer really freaks me out. So after that I was like, okay, I'm not going to wear your vessel in videos anymore. I'm not going to talk about you in videos anymore. I promise, sorry. And it was all okay. Whereas right now, actually, I said at the beginning I was feeling really awful. My heart was going fast, the caffeine and everything. Whereas right now I actually feel really chill. There's a really lovely, warm, chill feeling in the room. So I think either the guy spirit or the girl spirit is around listening, and they're feeling quite positive about what I've just said. And I think it's the girl spirit, actually. I think she's around. So yeah, so that's what's going on in my personal life. It's very weird, but it's very beautiful. And yeah, so lots of love. lots of love in a very non-traditional way. So anyway, I will end it here, but if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them below, because I do like making question and answers. It is fun, but this is very long now, so I'm going to shut the fuck up. Over and out. Love ya. Like and subscribe if you feel like doing so. I'm going to start saying that at the end of videos and just see if it makes any difference. If I tell people to subscribe, do they do it? Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, over and out. Bye bye.